Hey, isn't it amazing how expensive maple syrup is nowadays? You go to the store and you're paying a ridiculous amount for just a small amount of maple syrup. Now if you're Canadian, this is very important because of course you know that Canadians' blood is maple syrup, right? So it is very important to have maple syrup. But even regular syrup, non-maple syrup, is really expensive nowadays. So when you're wanting to have waffles and pancakes, it's like, oh man, I gotta use this expensive syrup. So today I want to teach you how to make artificial maple syrup. And it's cheaper than obviously buying real maple syrup. And it's also cheaper than buying fake syrups of sorts. And so for this reason I'm going to make this video and teach you how to make artificial maple syrup.
Okay, this recipe to make artificial maple syrup is actually really easy. So what you do is you add 1 3/4 cups white or granulated sugar. It's the same thing, just two different names. And then what you do is you add 1/4 cup brown sugar. And then you add half a teaspoon of maple extract. Then you're going to add a cup of water in there. And last but not least, you're going to add about 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. Corn syrup is just so sticky that I never add it directly. Well, I never pre-measure it unless it has to be exact, because you always lose some of the volume because it's just so sticky and it'll stick onto your measuring device. So unless it has to be an exact measurement, I never measure it. Anyways, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on high, and now I'm going to stir it with a wooden spoon once in a while, just to make sure that the sugar doesn't burn on the bottom. And it is done once it starts to boil and there's no more sugar crystals in it. So it'll take a little while, but that's the key. It needs to boil and the sugar crystals all need to be dissolved. Okay, so now the sugar has all melted and now it's boiling. So that is good. That means that it's done. So I'm going to turn off the heat and I'm going to get a hot pad, and I'm going to just leave it on the hot pad to cool. And after a little while it'll cool and it'll also thicken up. That's why I add a little bit of the corn syrup, because that helps it thicken. Otherwise it's still kind of runny, though you can make it without corn syrup. It's just not as thick. And so this will last quite a while. If you leave it in the fridge too long though, it will start to have the sugar crystallize out of the syrup. But it'll last up to a month easily. So that will give you a pretty good amount of syrup. And to store it, you can honestly store it in any container. I usually store it in an old syrup container, because then that just means that it'll be easy to pour and easy to deal with, and you can store it in the fridge. If you store this in the fridge, that is best, because that will keep it even thicker for when you put it onto your waffles and pancakes, and the heat of the waffles and pancakes will warm up the syrup really quick and it'll be great. So that is how you can make artificial maple syrup, and it's so much cheaper than going and buying it at the store. You'll be paying anywhere between $5 to $10 for a small bottle, and even more depending on the brand. Whereas this just costs a few dollars really, because the maple syrup extract, or maple extract, is relatively cheap and it lasts for a long time. White sugar obviously is cheap, and brown sugar is also cheap. And well, water obviously is super cheap. So if you make it with that without the corn syrup, it's really cheap, and even with corn syrup it's cheap to make.
Okay, I hope that you found this video useful. If you found it useful, make sure that you subscribe below, and I hope that you will return and watch more of my videos. A lot of my videos are fishing and outdoors oriented, and a lot of them are compilations. But I do have cooking videos, and I plan on making more cooking videos. So if you want to, you can subscribe above right here. And if you want to watch my most famous cooking video, which is how to cook frozen pizzas for idiots, you can click up here, and maybe you want to click the video that's best for you according to YouTube, or maybe you want to watch my newest download over here. Anyway, that's all for today, folks.